Why Savarkar? Why did you pick Savarkar?
So I was trying to see where do these ideas which we see in a vulgarized form today, where do they originate? And that's how I started uh, studying Savarkar.
Savarkar hated Gandhiji with a passion which was not just ideological. It was almost as if, one superstar hates the other one because the other one's very successful.
No, Savarkar is a little man and who says, why am I not that star? It's not that there are two great stars.
From your gathering of what you researched, what his psychology was that after India became independent and Nehru became this larger-than-life figure, Bapu became the father of the nation.
So he is talking Hindutva, Hindutva, Hindutva all the time. But the Hindus are all looking to Gandhiji as the embodiment of all that is good in their religion.
And that annoys him.
It not annoys him, it makes him furious.
He was obsessed with violence but never participated in it.
He instigated others or inspired others to commit, let's say, violence. But when the violence occurred, he was never there at the time.
Yeah, but he was obsessed with violence.
Yes, absolutely.
Was Guruji too big for Savarkar to be bigger than Guruji?
In case of Guru Golwalkar, you see, a much shrewder man on various grounds. There's a favorite ground of Golwalkar used to always be, we are a social service organization and you are running a political party, Hindu Mahasabha, which doesn't really exist. We are, of course, friends. We are working for the same ends and so on, but never let him come close.
So you think he would be proud of how his Hindutva has been weaponized today by the rest of his desire of how Hindus should be? You think he'd be quite satisfied today?
Yes, I think so. And to our misfortune. And he would not see the point that we are becoming a Pakistan.
Would politics become less about hero worship and more about issues?
Ever increasing difficulties and ruination if we remain on this course. Because a country like India cannot be managed by even one Superman. By one, even Superman.
तुमसे पहले जो यहाँ तख्त नशी था उसको भी अपना खुदा होने का इतना ही यकीन था. I'll never forget that interview of yours. Hello and welcome to Newslaundry Interviews. Today's interview is a very special one. It's a guest who I have actually wanted to interview for a long time for various reasons. And I often wonder if I am equipped to interview him because just the heft of his academic research and scholarship is unparalleled. And I have not always agreed with what he says, but the robustness with which he dives into something is truly intimidating. His latest, creation is this book, The New Icon, Savarkar and The Facts. And as you may have guessed, it's Arun Shourie, my guest. Thank you for joining me, sir. Welcome.
Thank you for your kind words. A friend of mine used to say, hyperbole so nihal.
Hyperbole so nihal. As a good Punjabi would say, yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you've read a lot more about this. Hindutva as a concept is not there in traditional Hinduism as opposed to what we know as Hinduism. It is a much later addition, this Hindutva word. Is Savarkar the architect of that philosophy, or is he just the architect, if at all, of the political use of that philosophy?
Actually, he's architect probably of the word. And he makes a great distinction between Hinduism and his Hindutva in that very pamphlet on Hindutva.
So you'd say he came up with that concept?
No, with the word. He popularized the word in this 1923 book, I think. That is the one that is today. But if you see about Hinduism being used for, or the Hindus being awakened as Hindus for political purposes, Swami Dayanand, Swami Vivekanand, certainly Lokmanya Tilak and his associate Agarkar, these were all persons who spoke in terms of Hinduism. For instance, in Lokmanya Tilak's case, these two festivals that he organized, Ganesh Chaturthi, it became a big festival. Similarly, on Shivaji, these were things to which the British could not object.
Right.
So he mobilized them for political purpose.
So you think he would be proud of how his Hindutva has been weaponized today by the rest of his desire of how Hindus should be? You think he'd be quite satisfied today?
Yes, I think so. And to our misfortune, he would not see the point that we are becoming a Pakistan. He would
Right.
say, yes, actually, he would say, Dekha, haan, Pakistan वैसे बन गया hai. So that is the real threat. So you should be like them.
One superstar hates the other one because the other one's very successful. I mean, do you think Savarkar would be the ideal candidate in any world to try to put up to belittle Gandhiji?
No, Savarkar is a little man and who says, why am I not that star? It's not that there are two great stars.
Mm-hmm.
And you are absolutely right that he was a man saturated with, unfortunately, with, I hate to use the word, but with hatred. And that hatred came to center on Gandhiji. You see, he has, as I've shown, a very exaggerated opinion of himself. Now, in his own view, he is the heir to Lokmanya Tilak. But outsider comes this Gujarati from South Africa and he takes away the prize.
He was obsessed with violence but never participated in it.
Yes, he was fascinated by violence, but not there at the time it occurs. In Andamans, because the prisoners were treated terribly, and he encouraged strikes. He takes credit for that. But when the strike occurs, he doesn't join it. Trilokanath Chatterjee, whose book is he was a very famous man, and another revolutionary from Bengal. In his memoir, he says that the Savarkar brothers used to encourage us to go on strike, but when the time came, they did not join it.
Participate themselves.
And that they had become favorites of the jailers, not want to give up the small privileges which they had received.
He was really progressive when it came to caste. At a time where, where people would, and not only was he very critical of the Brahmin or the, more pampered and the favored castes, he was very unhesitating and unpatronizing when it came to criticizing the marginalized, saying that you also are discriminating within yourselves, like the Mahars are, discriminating against the Jatavs or the Mochi caste, etc. And he says, if you do this within your community, don't expect others not to do it with you. And that was very brave.
He is a model of rationalism. Absolutely. And his critique of caste, that this is a rakshas, his work against untouchability by organizing common meals and the Patit Pavan temple, he encourages a state to build it. It is marvelous work. And as you rightly say, he's equally unsparing to the Mahars about their treatment of other persons regarded as untouchables. And that is admirable, something we should follow, and something which the current persons who are building him up would find impossible to
Yes.
They would want to, they hide that. They never talk about it.
Do you think the alarm that one sees in certain sections of business and even business reporting, people who report on the economy, is alarmist, or is it justified? What is your reading of the economy right now in India?
I personally feel that one should not look at quarterly results of the economy, certainly not even of companies, but certainly not of a continental economy like India. Oh, in this quarter, it has fallen by this much or that. Because firstly, our national income statistics are, even in if you ask any one of these economists, what proportion of them are the data collected by what is called the census method? That is, every entity is enumerated. No, it's just by some sample surveys, by looking at tax returns and then concluding something about manufacturing output. So don't go by that.
Where do you see the political framing of issues going? How do you think this little crest of Hindu identity politics, which has peaked, and different other issues will take over? Would politics become less about hero worship and more about issues?
Ever increasing difficulties and ruination if we remain on this course. Because a country like India cannot be managed by even one Superman, because it is to be managed by institutions, by people autonomously behaving by certain values. Democracy cannot survive. Democracy cannot survive what the Prime Minister calls and indulges in reverie politics, populism. But that's what's happening. One institution after the other has been suborned, and never at a rate as swift as in the last decade.